Hi guys, sorry, I'm just trying to get in the camera angle. Second time lucky with filming this video. I just did a lovely 11-minute review and accidentally deleted it, like the idiot I am. So let's try and actually get this done now. Basically I've got out of the habit of doing book reviews recently because I've had a lot going on, and sorry, just change the camera angle for a second. I've had a lot going on, so I've got out of the habit of read a book, review it, go. Read a book, review it, go. So I need to get back into that. In the time that I've not been reviewing, I've read loads of books, so not all of them will be reviewed. But ones I've done recently, I'm going to start doing. What I'm going to talk about today is a book that everybody's heard about. If you haven't heard of it, I'm pretty sure you've lived under a cave. It's very controversial. And sort of, it's like Marmite, I think, in that either you love it or you hate it. It's not really been done before, which is why I think a lot of people are kind of shocked by it, and some people are enthralled by it. And it's made people definitely want to go and read it, whether they are going to love it or hate it. You've probably worked out what I'm going to say now. It's 50 Shades of Grey by E.L James, or E.L James, I think. I'm not sure what her name. I think her first name probably stands for Elizabeth or something like that. Anyway, you can look it up. Like I said, most of you will have heard about it. If you haven't, I don't know where you've been. The reason this is controversial is because this book has a lot of sex in it. It's erotica fiction, which I've never really had an interest in. I mean, it's not exactly that popular, really. There have been books with it in, but not to this level, and not to a best-selling book has had it in. Whereas this is, I mean, you know, it has become a huge phenomenon. Probably because it's controversial, people are wanting to go out and buy it and read it and make their own opinion of it from then, whether they love it or they hate it. And it isn't the type of thing that I would normally read. Having said that, I did enjoy it. If you haven't read a book that has sex in it before, however mild, whatever, don't read this. Go out and read something else first, even if it's just something mild, or if you think you can handle it, fine. But you may be a little bit shocked because it is extreme. I mean, for a lot of people of my age, especially. I mean, I'm only nearly 16 next week, and some people my age might not be mature enough to read it. I mean, it's definitely not a thing for anyone really younger than my age. Definitely not. Although, having said that, I bet there are people younger than me that have read it. And I read fan fiction a lot, and because I'm obsessed, I'm a fangirl. I read a lot of things. I'm into a lot of things, so I read a lot of fan fiction. And if it's M-rated, which stands for mature, then it's going to have sex in it most of the time, smut, as it's called in the fan fiction world. So I was kind of used to it anyway, but this is more than some fanfiction. I mean, some fanfictions out there are downright disturbing and I click off. I mean, I won't even go into it. Though I will say one thing, Hermione Granger and the Sorting Hat. Never again. I'm not going to go any further. But, you get the picture. Some people are used to it, some people aren't. So if you haven't read fan fiction with sex in, or read anything with sex in, I would read something a little bit to start with to ease you in. I'm not going to go right into details of the plot, but I am going to give a brief outline of what the book's about. The main protagonist is called Anastasia Steele, or Anna as she's called. She's 22, just graduating college with an English degree and wanting to go into publishing. She is very innocent, a virgin, which is very important to the story. Never really had boyfriends. Never, spends more time reading than actually having a boyfriend, which is kind of like me in that way. I do relate to her quite a bit. And she her best friend, who she lives with at college, is ill one day. She's a journalist for the school newspaper, and got this interview lined up with the CEO of a massive company. I'm not entirely sure what he actually does, like what the company is, but of a massive company. This guy called Christian Grey. He's 28 and he's a multimillionaire. And they've been trying to get an interview for ages, and she finally got it. So Anna goes in her place, and what do you know? They hit it off, Christian and Anna, and go on a date, blah blah blah. But then things get complicated because it turns out that Christian is not really what you'd call normal. He's very into sex, which I suppose a lot of men are, but not like this. I mean, he asks her to sign a contract. And what that contract says is that he will be dominant over her, and she'll be his sub, his submissive, dom and sub. That's how they're sort of referred to. He'll be in complete control, sort of. What she eats, how many hours of sleep a night she gets, blah blah blah. How much she exercises, who she can see and when. And he has complete control over her in the bedroom department. Now this is Anna, who's a complete virgin, and she finds out that this guy is not only a control freak in every way, but especially in sex, but also, I suppose, violent. He likes inflicting pain. He gets a kick out of that. And he takes her into the Red Room of Pain, which is basically a red room, I think. Yeah, that would make sense. And it basically has everything in it, like from sort of things like shackles, whips, to all different types of things you can imagine, that sort of sex toys, and that you get the picture. And she's obviously very overwhelmed, but they get into this relationship. She has sort of time to think about it, but he's had subs before, and he feels differently for Anna. She completely starts to fall for him, and they sort of, she wants more from him than just dom and sub. She wants them to have a proper relationship, flowers and all that sort of thing. And he's not really wanting more, but he wants to try for her. And that's kind of the plot of the first book, really, just how obviously other things happen, but I'm not going to say what, and it sort of develops. And I know that a lot more complicated plots come in this, I think, book 2, which is I'm on now, and especially book 3. My mum is a big fan of these books. She was a fan of them before they became huge, and that's why she made me read them. Well, she didn't, she encouraged me to read them. And she says that the third book is very, everything kind of explodes. Like, it's completely unpredictable anyway, all of it, but it sort of really gets exciting in the third book. And that, you just can't see where it's going. I think what I really like is how much of a complex character Christian is. He has a very shadowy past, sort of abuse when he was younger. He has a thing about her eating, like that, not to waste food, and she should be eating a lot. And he's hinted that he's been starved before. And you slowly start to know more about his past, a little bit in this book, and especially, I mean, I'm only a little bit into the second book, a few chapters, but that started to already say a few things. The very beginning of the second book said that 50 Shades Darker, that's good. That begins to really sort of come into play, and I think we'll eventually find out about everything about why he does what he does. He's a very deep character indeed, very complex. He's very much actually like, if any of you have read or more watch, because it's different in the show, of Vampire Diaries, Damon Salvatore is actually very much like Christian Grey to me. You sort of see these layers start to be peeled off, like Elena in Vampire Diaries peels off. I think Anna is very slowly starting to, but she's not getting really very far yet. But he is very sort of, there are differences, but he's very controlling, Christian is, and like I said, complex, and I like complex characters. I like to unravel them myself and find out exactly what makes them tick, why they act the way they do. I love characters that you can get behind, like, I actually roleplay a lot, and all the characters I roleplay are characters that are either my own, or their characters that I can click my fingers and know exactly what they'd respond to each situation because they're so well written. I mean, I'd roleplay Damon from the books as well as other things. And I would consider roleplaying Christian Grey actually, but it would be very interesting. I'm not at that stage yet, I couldn't do it. It's very difficult to. I don't think the reader knows enough about Christian from the first book. But as I was saying earlier, there was so much controversy over this. My friend sort of said to me the other day, "Oh, it's awfully written," and I said, "Have you read it?" And she said, "No. I've read parts of it though," and sort of like I think her mum or someone had said that it wasn't very good. And I think because when one person says something, they sort of just pass it on, and that's it. They just think it is. But just because someone's told you it's bad, it doesn't necessarily mean it was. One person might say it's awful, and one person might say it's the most amazing book ever. You know, I mean, there are haters on things like Harry Potter. I mean, 50 Shades sold quicker than Harry Potter, which I'm not entirely sure how that happened, but I think it's because the first book was quite popular of Harry Potter, but as more came out, that's when it snowballed. So I think that's why 50 Shades sold faster, because it was so controversial. Everybody wants to read it. I think it's sold the most copies of a book in possibly Europe. Something like that. It's gone really well. I would definitely say go read it, but without a doubt. I mean, obviously, no, but it's not just pornography. Everybody says it's pornography. I wouldn't even say it's pornography. Yes, it's erotic fiction. Sorry, contact lenses slipped. Yes, it's erotic fiction, but there is a big plot behind it as well. So it's not. Don't be put off by people saying that. Like I said at the very start, it's like Marmite. You love it or you hate it. Some people love it, some people hate it, and the people that do hate it tend to get more heard, because you've had people say it's work of the devil, it should be condemned, and you've had some people say it shouldn't even be allowed to be sold in bookshops. Erotic fiction has been around for a long time. It's never been popular. It's never been there's never been something that's been really, really popular, and that's why you've not you haven't heard of it, because it hasn't been as popular. It's always been there. There's always been books like it. Maybe not to this level, because this is quite extreme. I mean, you have things like whipping and bondage and S&M and all of that lot. But it happens in the real world, and it's actually been known to. Apparently, there was a headline in Australia: 50 Shades of Grey saves Aussie marriages, because it was just putting a new lease of life. I mean, we went up to Spain a few weeks ago, and my mum had saved the third book to read because she really loved them so much. She likes to wait, whereas I'm just like, if I get into a series, that's it, I read them all and I don't stop unless it's really long and I feel like having a few books in between. And she was reading it by the poolside and sort of pointing things out to my dad, which was kind of awkward, but I can totally see it happening, sort of, really helping. I mean, not that my parents' marriage needs saving, but, I can see why it would help people's marriages. It really would. I mean, give some ideas, for example, and I really do think it's helping people. And my mum said to me, this will sound really dramatic, but it's the type of book that will change your life. And that sounds stupid to some people, but I completely get it, because hello, Harry Potter. I mean, book series, fictional worlds are my life, basically, and I'm not afraid to admit that. I'm the biggest Harry Potter fan. I am obsessed with Vampire Diaries as well. Hunger Games I like. My whole world revolves around fictional characters, and I don't care either. And so I completely understood. I mean, my dad doesn't read, so he didn't really understand how we can say that. But it really is. I mean, I haven't got further enough into the trilogy to be obsessed to the level that I am with Harry Potter. Or, well, I'll never be as obsessed with something. But, so, for example, Vampire Diaries, That took quite a few books for me to get really obsessed. But I can see why it is, because you get so attached to characters, and especially when I get into a book series, I start role playing them. I start role playing characters. And role play is a big part of my life. I might then write fan fiction. Fan fiction is a big part of my life. I'm on Tumblr. I'll put my Tumblr below. I post things about them. I make photo edits. I reblog things. I talk to fans about certain fandoms, and I really do think books can change your life. And I completely understood what my mum said. So, as a summary, go read it. Really, just give it a try. You can't really lose a lot. I mean, like I said, if you've not read a book that's got sex in or whatever, maybe ease yourself in a little bit. But other than that, just go for it. Really, it is definitely worth it. So let me know what you think as well. I'll watch review if you've got reviews of it. I will watch it because I like to know what other people think about anything book that I review, and especially this one. I'm eager to see, even if it's negative, because I'm eager to see other people's reactions to it. I've watched quite a few on here, but there's a lot. So point me to yours in the direction of yours, and I will be more than happy to watch it or do a video response, whatever. I don't know if you've got. I wasn't really, when I started doing my reviews, I've never been that popular as a YouTuber, but I haven't been going for that long. When I paused, I didn't really think people were watching my videos. And then I went on the computer the other day, so I had 20 subscribers. That's not a lot compared to some people, but I thought I had like 5. And that kind of made me realise that, wow, people are quite interested. So that's what made me do it again. So I kind of want to say thank you. So yeah, keep subscribing. And if you've got a request or more like a recommendation of a book, go for it, and I will read it and review it. So yeah, I am reading the second book now, and I had a brief pause between. Oh, I'm not gonna get it, but had a brief pause between 50 Shades of Grey and 50 Shades Darker because I wanted to read a library book that was due back, which was Stephanie's Diaries. Which I'm doing a review of now. But yeah, I definitely think that it's worth reading, and I will be doing a review of book 2 once I've read it. I'm just like a few chapters in, so I'll be doing a book review soon. So thank you for watching.